So today is a special day. We have our new RV arriving. Just got here. Actually, wasn't even expecting it this early, but I think you'll be surprised when you see what it is. This is going to be a different type of RV and at a price point I think most people can afford, and that was kind of the point of this. So let's see what you think. Hang tight, I'll be right back. So here it is, our brand new, relatively big Ibex travel trailer. Is this the brand you thought we would go with? It might be, because there were so many people who thought this should be the brand that we look at getting, and this should be the next RV we get. So listening to our viewers, trying to get something in a price point that a lot of people can afford, while at the same time offering some really big advantages, especially by way of that suspension. We went with the Forest River Ibex 2026 model. So we'll talk about this in greater depth. So in front of you, you were looking at our brand new 2026 Forest River Ibex travel trailer. Now, a lot of folks are gonna ask, why did you go with the Forest River Ibex? I know a lot of folks were expecting probably a Brinkley because we had one as a long-term loaner. Some folks may have been expecting some other brands. But the reason why we opted to go with Ibex is because, actually there's a lot of reasons. I really like what the folks at Ibex are doing. I love what they're doing with their suspension system. I love what they're doing with their frame. I love a lot of the innovation that they're putting into their RVs. And from a value perspective, the price you pay to get into an Ibex is traditionally going to be a lot less than what you might think, especially after you watch the videos I make on this thing. The entire goal of this collaboration with Forest River and Ibex was to show you all an affordable RV that gives you tons and tons of stuff that you just typically wouldn't expect in its price point. Now, of course, we could have gone with something like a Brinkley. We could have gone with something like maybe a super high-end Forest River product, something that was $70,000, $80,000, $90,000. But the reality is that there's a lot of folks, especially those who are just getting into RVing or getting maybe their second RV, and they want to get an upgrade over what they had, or they just want to go into it the first time and have some really great engineering that's going to keep it from falling apart, you know, within the first couple of months or weeks of using it. The folks over at Ibex are doing it right, and they give you some really phenomenal reasons why you may want to look at them. Now, the value aspect is really what I want to point out here. Again, you can go out and spend $80,000 and get a travel trailer with just about everything you want on it because you're spending $80,000. But when you get into a Forest River Ibex, you're traditionally going to be between about $35,000 and maybe about $50,000. Maybe a little bit more than that depending on how you spec it out, but you are absolutely in the price range that most people are shopping for when they're looking for their first or second or maybe even third travel trailer. There's not a lot of folks out there who can budget for $70,000, $80,000 for a travel trailer and really feel like they're affording it or they're getting everything they're paying for. Now, yes, you may get a lot of really great features for that price range. Again, we had a Brinkley out here, dovetail drawers, all sorts of cool little things that absolutely make it kind of stand out in its own way. But you're paying for all of that. You're paying for a lot of that, and it's great quality. It's a great RV, but I really think the folks over at Ibex are doing it right. And what's cool about this is its cousin is the NoBo. So the No Boundaries RV is a cousin to this. They're pretty much the same thing. You can pretty much get duplicate floor plans in either one, which is really cool. So if perhaps you don't like the graphics package of one, you can look at the other. Me personally, I really like the way the Ibex looks. I love what they've done with the graphics and the appearance package. But let's talk about some of the value reasons before we get this thing hooked up, because we just got it dropped off. I haven't even opened the doors yet. I have the keys in my hand and I haven't even gone into this, dropped the stairs down, nothing. So this is a first time for me, and I just want to kind of give you a quick glimpse at some of the things that made it stand out. And then I think you'll probably have a bit more of an understanding of specifically why we went with Ibex over some of the other brands that we could have gone with. So first and foremost, one thing you can't see is that this has the Beast Mode package where you can kind of see it, but with that we're getting 400 watts of solar on the roof, which is really nice, plus a 2,000 watt inverter. Again, we'll dive much deeper into this as we get into the exterior and interior tours, but this video is really just to kind of talk to you about why we went with Ibex this time around versus some other brand. Now, the big part here for me is the fact that you get the beast mode suspension. This right here is really game changing. This is what's going to make the biggest difference in terms of how long your RV is going to last going down the road. I asked the gentleman who delivered it, I said, how did this thing tow? And he literally verbatim said, like a dream. It towed great. And he goes, that suspension back there was game changing. And I said, really, what kind of examples do you have of that? And he said, you know what, I had to exit off one of the interstates and take an access road, and it was really, really bumpy. And typically you really feel the trailer kind of pushing and pulling on you. You feel that porpoising type effect in the back. He goes, this thing was like buttery smooth. And that is really cool. And again, that's because of this CURT independent suspension system down here. This is a fully independent coil sprung suspension system with dual shock absorbers at each wheel location. That is absolutely revolutionary in the travel trailer industry. This is not something that you would have ever seen in the past on a travel trailer, especially one that's in that price range I talked about. That's the key here. You get so much for what you pay. And the only thing that differentiates this unit from one that you're going to find on a dealership lot is a few little things just to see how they worked on the unit. I asked them if they could do it. One of those is the fact that they put 2 Furrion chill cubes up top versus the traditional AC units that they go with. So that's going to be pretty cool to test those out. Secondly, it has this really cool quick style leveling system on it from BAL on the front and back. Traditionally, they would put scissor style jacks on here. And then third, this has a hatch on the back right here. So traditionally you get the 2 side hatches on each side, but you don't get this one on the back right here. So we actually have 3 access doors. And I brought that up to them because I thought, you know, this is really going to be an easier way to access things you might put inside there. It has the on-the-go ladder system up top. But yeah, this is going to be really cool, and we're going to walk through it for the first time together in a second just to see how it arrived. Again, I have not opened this unit up at all. It basically came from Indiana. The driver handed me the keys. He's never been in it at all, and it's going to be really cool to see what condition it arrived in. Before I do that, though, one process I did kind of start, and that was one because I knew we'd need to do this to get into it properly, is to connect the battery. So I already brought my Camco double battery box up here. I'm going to bring one of my large lithium iron phosphate batteries in. We're going to go ahead and get it plugged in and connected so we can get the slides out. I can operate the front jack leg. He took his battery with him. That's why I can't do it now. But one thing that's really cool, and I got to admit, this is pretty awesome because they didn't have to do this. So the 400 watts of solar on the roof and the fact that this is feeding into a 2000 watt inverter, they gave you some incredibly high-end cable for that. Check that out. Made in the USA, Southwire Royal. This is welding cable. This is absolutely insane that they've given you 2-aught gauge welding cable for your power going to the inverter. That's pretty awesome. And I love that new badge on the front. Check that out. Very automotive style, along with the frameless window up here. Anyways, let's go ahead and get the battery connected so I can throw the slides open and we can walk through it for the first time together to see how it arrived. Okay, so the battery we'll be installing in it is this Lifetime 320 amp hour lithium iron phosphate battery. Super compact. I'll be using the Camco double battery box to hold it, and then I'll probably create like a foam wedge just to keep it from sliding side to side, but this is what we're going to be installing. Okay, so we have the battery installed. I have my positive and negative from the inverter as well as my solar and the main power to the trailer actually connected now. So got a lot of battery capacity here with this Lifetime battery. We should be able to close this all up, open up the slide out, and walk around inside real quick just to see if there's anything we need to be concerned with. Before we do that though, I'll probably walk around there first, then I'll connect the water and all of that stuff. But I'm going to walk you through the same process that I always do on these videos, where I kind of give you my initial setup so you can see what everything looks like as well as what it looks like to connect it for the first time. So let's go ahead and raise it up. You know, this tongue jack is actually pretty fast considering I've never seen this one before. FIC is the brand. See what we look like. Still look like we're a little nose low. I'll eventually put a leveler on here, but I think we look pretty good. I know it looks nose high in the picture, but I don't think we really are. Definitely have this little slope right here, which gives it the appearance, but I think we're in a better position to go ahead and put the stabilizer jacks down. Okay, so we have all 4 of our stabilizers down. RV looks to be relatively level. Let's go ahead and open up the doors, get the stairs out. You know, before I do that, let's go ahead and get power connected though. This is my nifty little adapter cable. You want to get that nice and tight. You don't want this moving. Okay, let's get power turned on. Okay, so now we are connected to everything but sewer and water, and we can begin the process of opening this thing up. So it has standard grab rails here. Be kind of cool to do an upgrade video on that. All right. Huh, that's perfect. Let's get the front one down too. All right. There we go. We have both the front and back stairs down, doors open, on-demand water heater, outside shower, 400 watts, beast mode, suspension package. Asdel on board. Gotta love that composite outside panel. Okay. So we are in. I'm looking for any overt signs of sawdust, trim that may have fallen, speaker mounts, anything that looks like it may have shifted during transportation. I think I have enough room to open this slide out. Pretty sure I do. Let's go ahead and push our slide out, which is way up here. And I'll check it again because I don't want to hit the stairs on the Brookstone. And I think we have plenty of room. It's such an optical illusion when you're pushing a slide out next to stuff and you're like, man, am I really gonna have room to clear that? See, that just looks scary. Plenty of room, but I'm gonna look at the outside real quick. Oh yeah, no problem there. Okay. Very nice. Let's turn on our lights inside. And looks like we have our Bluetooth sound system right here. Got our porch light and our awning lights. It's really just one light switch in this area. Then you'll probably have independent light switches back there, which I can see that you do, to turn on other lights. Actually, these lights might have a little button you press on them. But this is kind of a different type of floor plan, isn't it? Pretty cool though. And I toured one similar to this not too long ago, but this is actually called the 25 RBH. And the reason for that is it is a rear bunkhouse. But that is not the purpose of this video. We will go over it in full detail. Pass through bathroom right here. Something that I was a little critical about, but it kind of grew on me a little bit, and I'll talk to you more about that in another video. Something else we had added to this unit. So this was the one I forgot, but this is the only other addition. But check out the shower surround, shower stall. Really, really nice. Super tall ceilings in here. We have our front bedroom area. This is nice. I don't see any sawdust. And I gotta admit this, there's less sawdust visible in this than there was in the Brinkley. And there's very little sawdust that was in the Brinkley. Just a little bit. If you saw the very first video when we received it, it was right near the pillow area. And then there was some in the bathroom. But this unit has come straight from Indiana. And I don't see any sawdust in here. Well, never mind. There's a little bit right here. A little bit of sawdust right there. This thing's in really good shape. Anyways, let's continue hooking it up so I can turn on the faucets and drain all that winterization fluid out. Okay, so we have our water hose connected now. I'm just gonna turn water onto the unit. I don't have very much pressure going through right now. I just want to make sure we don't have any major issues that we have to deal with first. So we'll turn the Sinks on. Seems to be flowing well. You can see all the antifreeze that was in there coming out. You can see more pressure coming through this line now. And then we will check the shower out. Okay. I got the water pressure really low right now, so this just shifts between the sprayer or the shower head or both. See all the RV antifreeze coming out of it. Not bad considering I don't have hardly any pressure turned on. Got the side sprayer. Top one. This one should start spraying a little bit more in a second. Very good. I'm going to turn the pressure all the way up now so I can go ahead and test everything out. Okay, so I just turned the water pressure on all the way. It should be a little bit more flowing. It's good from here. It's cool. Now, let's see what happens when I put it sideways. So it is able to pull out, but you just rotate the thing sideways. That is really cool. My wife will like that. And you have your water glass cleaner right there, which I'm not going to mess with right now. And then should have quite a bit more pressure now. Oh yeah. I don't have any propane in the tanks yet, so we'll have to take care of that. That's a sprayer right there. There we go. You can kind of go in between if you want two of them to turn on at the same time, but you can't have all three on. Very good. Very good. And I think we should have a good amount of pressure out of the sinks now. Get the rest of that antifreeze out of the system. So what do you guys think? This is a pretty dang cool unit. And again, for what you get and how much you have to pay to get it, this is a heck of a value. Fact is, you're getting Asdel, you're getting independent suspension, the beast mode suspension, off-road tires, you get a 2000 watt inverter, you get 400 watts of solar. I mean, this is just one heck of a cool RV. It is about 2 feet longer than the Brinkley was, and it's about 7 feet longer than the Surveyor. Now, this is not something I can tow with the GMC, so that's not going to be an option for it. However, as we do media loaners and we do 3/4 ton trucks, this is going to be a much better representation of what I talk about when I say 3/4 ton truck towable. I wouldn't put this behind the back of a 1/2 ton truck. We will go over all the numbers, we'll go over the specs on this thing in the next video, but yeah, I'd love to know what your opinion is. And for those of you who have been absolutely hammering my email box and my comment section saying you need to try Ibex, well, here it is. This was driven directly off of the feedback and the polls that my subscribers chose at a price point that I think most people can get into. But we'll dive a lot more into that in later videos. Big shout out to the folks over at Forest River and Ibex for allowing me to have this collaboration with them, getting into a unit that I really think is going to be better representative of the type of units people are going to get for themselves in this price category. Anyways, please drop a comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up. We'll talk to you again very soon.